Going into this year's NFL draft, some people considered it boring or uninteresting. This was mostly because there wasn't a bunch of quarterbacks or offensive skill positions set to be taken in those top picks. But unlike offense, defensive players who pop early in the NFL actually have a tendency to stick around for a hell of a lot longer in the league. 1 month ago, I did the last 10 Offensive Rookie of the Year winners, and literally half of those cats ain't even in the league no more. But even the oldest defensive player on this list is still signing big time contracts. With that said, obviously not every player that wins Defensive Rookie of the Year goes on to become Von Miller. Still, you're gonna notice a trend in this video. You'd think that constant contact and being forced to tackle guys like Derrick Henry, run with guys like Tyreek Hill, or getting blocked by guys like Trent Williams might take a few years off these dudes' careers. But by and large, it seems like elite defenders stay elite a hell of a lot longer than their offensive counterpart. You're now tuned into the last 10 Defensive Rookie of the Year winners. Where are they now? And without any further ado, you already know what time it is, fellas. Cue the Wayne.
Yeah, you'll never know quitter, 'cause I'ma go get her.
Alright man, real quick before we continue, a quick word from today's video sponsor, Let's Get Checked. So I know we got a lot of athletes and ex-athletes that watch this channel. And if you're like me, you're trying to at least stay in decent shape by eating sensibly and hitting the gym consistently. But despite that, you still might not be seeing the same results that you saw a few years back. But before you go on that crazy diet or cop a new supplement, you might want to check your testosterone levels first. Low testosterone is super common in men today, and it could cause you to lose muscle mass and gain body fat, all on top of having lower energy levels and struggling with motivation. And yeah, low testosterone is more common as you get older, but bro, it can affect men of any age. Plus, there's a hormone called SHBG that carries testosterone through the bloodstream. If that's low, it's gonna essentially have the same effect as having low testosterone. Today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked, is a worldwide leader in at-home testing kits. With them, you can safely and discreetly test your own hormone levels right at the house. You can order a testing kit that'll be delivered to you in discreet packaging with next day delivery. And once your samples arrive back at the lab, confidential test results will be available from your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. The results are reviewed by a clinician, and a member of the Let's Get Checked nursing team may call you to review your results. Let's Get Checked laboratories are CLIA approved and CAP accredited, which are the highest ranking levels of accreditation. So if you want to get your hormone levels checked without leaving the house, visit trylgc.com/flemlo. Again, that's trylgc.com/flemlo, and that'll get you kicked off today. Also, they're hooking all my viewers up with a special offer. So if you click the link in the description, you'll get 30% off your test. Shout out to Let's Get Checked once again, and without further ado, let's jump in. 2022 just gave us one of the craziest free agency periods in NFL history. We're talking tons of monumental moves that could shift the balance of power in the NFL for years to come. But none of those moves were bigger than the Buffalo Bills acquiring future Hall of Fame edge rusher Von Miller on a 6-year, $120 million contract. And while he's still making bank today, Von Miller actually burst onto the NFL scene over 10 years ago, bruh. So obviously Von Miller is a freak of nature, but did you know that he actually broke the NFL combine record for linebackers in the 60-yard shuttle? He also recorded a 37-inch vertical and ran a 4.49 in the 40-yard dash at his pro day. The Denver Broncos selected Von Miller 2nd overall in the 2011 draft. Only player taken higher than him, former league MVP Cam Newton. Now 2011 was one of those years where each of the top 2 teams actually hit home runs with their picks, as each guy won Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Years respectively. So you know how some rookies just go off in their very first game? Well, Von Miller went off on his very first play. On this man's first ever snap snap in the NFL, he forces a fumble. Then the very next week, he got his first of what's now over 100 sacks when he slammed Andy Dalton into the ground. So yeah, not so fun fact for me at least, Von Miller's very first career sack came against my Bengals. This dude's actually been a nightmare for an extremely long time. In that very first year, Von was already a top 10 rusher in the league and competition was steep. How steep? Well, that season, Jared Allen came half a sack short of tying Michael Strahan's record. Jared Allen's league lead in 22 sacks literally hasn't been beat until this past season when TJ Watt edged him out by half a sack in the final week of an extended regular season. And I do want to point out that Watt only played 15 of the 17 games, but he still obviously benefited from the additional week because he had extra time to get back healthy and get back out on the field in a week where the season would have normally been over. Despite the tight competition, Von flourished as a rookie. Dude finished with 64 tackles, 11.5 sacks, and 60 total pressures, which was enough to win him Defensive Rookie of the Year. Got him named to the Pro Bowl, and dude was a second-team All-Pro all in year 1. Now in year 2, Von had his best statistical season with 18.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and his first career interception. And that wasn't even the height of his career. In 2015, he helped the Broncos to a Super Bowl. And the link between Von and Cam Newton just doesn't ever seem to go away. In that game, he sacked Cam 3 times, strip sacked him twice, one of which was recovered in the end zone for a touchdown, and the other was that infamous play where Cam doesn't dive for the ball. Everywhere Cam looked, there was Von. On one play, he dropped back and Von wasn't in his face, so he takes a shot downfield, and guess who's there in coverage? That's right, this man. He was literally everywhere, bro. The second overall pick said he was done being number 2. And that day, he took his rightful place on top as he was awarded Super Bowl MVP, and there was no question he completely took over that game. And 6 years after Super Bowl 50, this year, he wins another one. As he is still haunting my Bengals 10 whole years later, it's a nightmare, bro. In both of his Super Bowl runs, he basically produced about 50% of his regular season sacks once he got into the postseason. That's 5 postseason sacks in 2015 and 4 last year in 2021. Then once he actually got to the big game, dude was sure to make an impact with multiple sacks in both of his Super Bowl appearances. Today, the 8-time Pro Bowler and 7-time All-Pro is still a huge asset to have on the defensive side. So where's Von Miller now? Still coming off the edge. Same place he was 10 years ago. Now 2012 produced yet another player who took the field in Super Bowl 50. Former Carolina Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly. Kuechly was one of the smartest, most instinctual linebackers you'll ever see. His ability to read offenses along with his relentless motor and sure tackling made him a force on the field. As a rookie, unlike Von Miller, Kuechly's first game was nothing special. You could actually say the same thing about 3 of his first 4. But in week 5, as you can see here on the stat sheet, something changed. See, when Kuechly got to Carolina, there was already a middle linebacker in place, a 3-time Pro Bowler and 2-time All-Pro named John Beeson. The fact that his last name sounds like Beeston is no coincidence. Dude had averaged 140 tackles per year for his first 3 seasons in the league, but in 2011, he ended up getting hurt after only 1 game. This prompted the Panthers to draft Kuechly that following season. Still, John Beeson came back in 2012, which meant that Kuechly would have to play weak side linebacker as opposed to middle where he thrived. But after John Beeson went down yet again with injury, Kuechly ended up taking over at the linebacker spot in week 5, and while the Panthers still weren't any good just yet, with a second-year Cam Newton on offense and a first-year Luke Kuechly on defense, it was clear that Carolina was no longer gonna be an easy out. When Kuechly took over the middle linebacker position, dude ran off 6 straight games with double-digit tackles. He was so damn good that when Beeson came back, they moved Beeson to outside linebacker. And here's the craziest part. Just 1 year earlier, the Carolina Panthers had just made John Beeson the highest paid linebacker in the NFL. Then in walks Luke Kuechly and takes his spot as a rookie. insane. So how many total tackles did Kuechly finish the season with? Well, there's actually a little bit of confusion behind that. Most sites credit Luke with 100+ solo tackles and 164 total tackles. Apparently, the Panthers did their own count and they somehow came up with 205 total tackles for Luke Kuechly, which broke the franchise record. For the sake of this video, we'll stick with majority consensus, and that's 164 tackles, which was still enough for dude to lead the league in tackles as a rookie. So obviously he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Then the following season, 2013, he goes immediately from Defensive Rookie of the Year to Defensive Player of the Year. One season. That season he finished with 156 tackles, 2 sacks and 4 picks. And in a must-win division game late in the season, this man recorded 24 tackles in one game versus the New Orleans Saints. Then he also had an interception in that one. That season started a string of Pro Bowls and All-Pros that went from 2013 through 2019. Never missing a single year. In 2014, he actually led the league in tackles again. Then in 2015, he made it to Super Bowl 50 and recorded 10 tackles and a sack in that one. He retired from the game in 2019 after 8 seasons where he'd accumulated over 1,000 tackles, 75 for loss, 18 picks, and 9 fumble recoveries. Why did he walk away? Well, in his final 3 seasons, Luke suffered a concussion in each of them, and many people feel that's likely what led to his somewhat surprising retirement in 2019. But he left the game still on top, racking up 144 tackles in his final season. Immediately after retiring, he joined the front office as a pro scout for the same team he spent his entire NFL career with. But after only 1 season of that, he walked away from the gig to spend even more time with the family. Dude's taking trips he never could, going hunting and fishing, which is something that he loves, and it sounds like he's progressing naturally post-football. You love to see it. In 2013, the New York Jets traded all-time great cornerback Darrelle Revis to Tampa Bay. In return, they got a first-round pick and a conditional 4th. Losing one of the league's best defensive players is obviously tough, but with the first-rounder they got back from Tampa, the Jets drafted defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson. Sheldon made an immediate impact, making 78 total tackles, 25 stuffs, 3.5 sacks, plus a forced fumble and pass deflection in his rookie season. Now, because it can be tricky showing the value of defensive linemen, I'm going to be bringing in some PFF grades for this one. So how good was Sheldon Richardson as a rookie? Well, according to PFF, in his very first season, this man was the 4th best run-stopping D lineman in the entire league behind JJ Watt, Snacks Harrison, and Mike DeVito. But the thing I really like about Sheldon was the versatility he brought to the position. Dude can line up in the interior or on the edge. Check out these defensive alignment snap count percentages between Sheldon and the 3 D linemen graded above him in run defense. So JJ Watt played about 89% of his snaps on the edge, 11 in the interior. Snacks Harrison played 93 on the interior, 7 on the edge. Mike DeVito was 90% on the edge and 10% interior. But out of all of these guys, Sheldon moved around the most, playing 58% of his snaps on the inside and 42% on the edge. Now, I know that's a lot of numbers, but I thought it was an interesting little fun fact there. For his efforts, he was named Defensive Rookie of the Year, but that wasn't enough. The very next season, Jets head coach Rex Ryan had Sheldon even out those percentages even more, as he was extremely close to just being at 50-50. And he wasn't just moving around to move around. He actually recorded his career high in sacks that year with 8. But sadly, 2014 would be the only Pro Bowl season of his entire career. The following year, 2015, my dude ran into some issues. First, he was suspended 4 games by the league for violating the substance abuse policy. Then 2 weeks later, he was arrested for allegedly street racing with just a terrible combination of things in the car. This man got caught driving over 140 miles per hour with a gun under the seat, the strong aroma of marijuana, 2 other adult men in the car who also shared the smell, and then, worst of all, there was a 12-year-old kid in the car. Yeah. Nobody was hurt, thankfully, and the judge said there somehow wasn't enough evidence to charge him for the drugs, child endangerment, or the gun, especially since, you know, the guns are legal in Missouri. He was charged with reckless driving and resisting arrest, but he basically got off with a $1,000 fine, probation, and community service. Since then, Sheldon has played for 3 other teams, and while he has continued to have really solid seasons, he's never quite got back to the heights of his first couple of years with the Jets. He's currently a free agent, but still a pretty highly sought after one. And his racing days seem way behind him as he's grown into a reliable veteran, and it's all but guaranteed that if he doesn't re-sign with the Vikings, some contending team is gonna snatch dude up for the right price. Every now and then there's a generational player who comes along and sets a new standard for his position. In 2014, Aaron Charles Donald did exactly that. Coming out of college, dude was considered undersized, and some scouts doubted his ability to push the pocket on the NFL level. 7 first-team All-Pros later, and yeah, that was some BS. The man is unstoppable. As a rookie, Aaron Donald managed to get 47 tackles and 9 sacks right out the gate. PFF graded him as the second highest overall defensive lineman in the entire league, only slightly behind JJ Watt, who was on an absolute tear at that time. When it came to stopping the run, Aaron Donald was #1 from day one. But the reason he's a generational player is while being so great at stopping the run, he was still graded top 5 when it came to pass rush. Dude took home Rookie of the Year and got a Pro Bowl nod right out the gate. Then for the next 7 straight seasons, he was first team All-Pro, meaning that excluding his rookie year, this man was universally recognized as the best player in the league at his position, no questions. So he started out great, right? All he had to do was maintain. He was already the best from year 2. In 2017, he won his first Defensive Player of the Year award. Then in 2018, this interior D lineman decides he wants to lead the league in sacks. 20.5 sacks later, he does exactly that. I guess nobody told dude this was reserved for edge rushers. 2017 and 2018, he won Defensive Player of the Year in back-to-back seasons. And then 2 years later, he won the award for a 3rd time, which is more than any other player in the history of the league. Hell, he might win another one. Bro, think about this. This dude ain't never played a single NFL season that did not end with him in a Pro Bowl. Like, not one season did he miss. He don't even know what that's like. When you consider that and the fact that dude's been first team All-Pro for every year except his rookie season, for Aaron Donald, he probably feels like there's not a whole lot left to do, which could be why last season he openly contemplated early retirement. But that was before he added yet another trophy to his case, and this time, it was the Vince Lombardi, as he led his team to a Super Bowl victory over my Bengals just this past season. And I feel like my additional punishment is having to cover every single player that was on that team. Like, who wasn't on this damn team that just beat us? But despite the win, Aaron Donald's still not sure if he's coming back, as recent reports suggest that if he does not get a redone contract, he still might walk away from the game. If he does, he's already a surefire Hall of Famer, but most likely he'll be back and he'll be once again breaking the bank with a nice brand new fat contract. So if you're trying to get one of these, it seems like you might have to go through this dude for at least a few more years. In 2015, the Kansas City Chiefs selected cornerback Marcus Peters 18th overall. Draft Scout rated him the 4th best corner in that draft, but he quickly proved that he was the cream of the crop. Dude ended up catching a pick in his very first game, and by the end of his rookie season, he was tied for the most interceptions in the entire league. His 60 tackles, 26 deflections, and 8 interceptions sent him to the Pro Bowl as a rookie and was enough for dude to be named 2nd team All-Pro. Most NFL players go their entire careers with never sniffing an All-Pro team. So to do it as a rookie at a position as hard as cornerback, I mean, I think that's pretty damn good, right? 8 picks, dude returned for 45+ yards in the other direction. And on 2 of them, he just got into the end zone himself. Just look at his interception return yards compared to everybody else. Even safety Reggie Nelson, who's massively underrated by the way, had the same amount of interceptions that year, but his interception return yards are half that of Marcus Peters. The following year was mostly more the same. Another season, another Pro Bowl, and another All-Pro bid. Now going into the draft, there was some character concerns with Marcus, and during his 2017 season with the Chiefs, you kind of saw a little bit of that come out. Dude got pissed at the ref after being called for a penalty. So this man picks up the flag off the ground and throws it into the stands. I mean, that's one way to handle it. He then gets traded to the Rams, but after only 1 season there, he gets shipped off again. this time to the Ravens. There in 2019, he made his third All-Pro team along with his third Pro Bowl, and after kind of bouncing from team to team, it seemed like he'd finally found a team that he could mesh with, somewhere he could call home. The Ravens felt the same way and signed Marcus to a 3-year, $42 million extension in December of 2019. Fast forward to 2021, and prior to the season, he caught the string of bad injury luck that swept through the Ravens roster and actually ended up tearing his ACL in practice and missed the entire season. But this year, he's looking to make a comeback, team up with his running mate Marlon Humphrey once again, and with the new safeties that the Ravens recently brought in, it seems like they may be able to get that defense back to the prominence they showed in years past. Now for 2016, we got the Bosa family making their first appearance on this list. But despite being taken 3rd overall by the Chargers in 2016, things didn't actually start off super smooth for the older Bosa brother. Despite first-round picks having their contract numbers essentially predetermined based on draft placement, Joey Bosa and the Chargers had major issues with contract negotiations, leading to the first rookie holdout since the 2011 CBA was signed. That 2011 CBA was the one where they implemented the sliding system, specifically to in rookie holdouts. But the issue wasn't the contract total or the signing bonus numbers. To put it as simply as I can, the issue was that the Chargers was playing games with dude contract. That's really what it boils down to. So Joey Bosa was drafted on April 28, 2016, but the Chargers didn't want to pay him a large portion of his signing bonus until March of 2017, a full year later. Every other rookie would have that money no later than the end of the 2016 regular season. So when you look at that, it doesn't actually seem like that big of a deal. For Joey Bosa, you're basically talking about just a few extra months. But that wasn't the only thing. They'd also added what you call offset language into his contract. That way, if they were to cut him after that 3rd year, they could save a few million and not have to pay him on the way out. Basically, they wanted to build in potential draft bust protection, bust insurance, for a guy who's now ranked 4th all-time in career sacks for that franchise. Now, Bosa said he would take the offset language if they paid him all his money by the end of the regular season. And he also said he would take the late payment if you got rid of the offset language. He's basically just like, look, bro, you got to give me something, like work with me here. But the Chargers, who was really sitting there penny pinching a 3rd overall pick, was like, nah, we ain't doing none of that. Joey's mom got so pissed during the whole thing that she said publicly that she wished they would have pulled in Eli Manning. For those of y'all who don't know, Eli refused to play for the Chargers and forced them to trade him on draft day. That's how he ended up with the Giants. Now look, I don't know what the Chargers' financial situation was, but either way, the Chargers eventually stopped playing poor and paid the dude the largest rookie signing bonus in team history with $17.5 million. They still kept that offset language in the contract though. After missing so much at training camp, Bosa unsurprisingly injured his hamstring early in the year and missed 4 games. Oh, but when he came back, dude ended up recording 10.5 sacks as a rookie and won Rookie of the Year, making that whole "we want to save $3 million if we have to cut you" thing just, again, a complete waste of time. Anyway, 4 out of the next 5 seasons, Joey Bosa averaged around 10 sacks per and made 4 Pro Bowls already in his young career. In 2020, the Chargers came back to the table. Now that they were in LA, they probably had more cash flow, and they definitely wanted to keep their Pro Bowl rusher in the fold. So they broke out the checkbook and signed dude to a $135 million deal with $100 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid defensive player in the league at the time. And as you can see, those negotiations went a hell of a lot different than the first ones. Crazy thing is, Bosa's best days may actually be ahead of him too, cause adding Khalil Mack on the other side, plus a shutdown corner in JC Jackson, in theory this dude's job is gonna be easier than ever, as he might just be up for his best season yet. In 2017, the New Orleans Saints took cornerback Marshon Lattimore with the 11th overall pick. The original plan was to bring Marshon off the bench behind starters Delvin Breaux and PJ Williams, but an injury to Delvin Breaux got Marshon into the action early. And here's the thing, dude was more than ready. During his rookie season, Marshon allowed 36 receptions on 68 targets. he intercepted 5 passes plus showed that he wasn't scared to get his nose dirty, as he quickly gained a reputation as a physical corner. Now, physical corner can sometimes mean cat who holds and grabs because he doesn't really have the feet to stay with guys. Not the case at all with Lattimore. Dude's the complete package, he's just hella aggressive. As a rookie, he allowed a passer rating of only 45.3 when targeted. So if QBs thought they was about to pick on the rookie corner, they would learn after only a few games. That was probably the dumbest strategy you can have in this case. At what many people consider to be the toughest position outside of quarterback, Marshawn made the Pro Bowl as a rookie and was named Defensive Rookie of the Year. He would go on to make the Pro Bowl in 2019, 2020, and 21, so at only 25 years old, he's already a 4-time Pro Bowler. That's insane. Now, one of Marshawn's biggest achievements, and something that has always astonished me personally, has been his absolute domination of Tampa Bay star receiver Mike Evans. A perennial Pro Bowler himself, Super Bowl champion, this 6'5", 230-pound beast of a receiver routinely gets shut down by one man, Marshon Lattimore. Check this out. Prior to the 2021 season, in 13 games versus Marshon Lattimore, Mike Evans caught 9 passes. Bro, that's a less than 1 reception per game average. This past season was more of the same when it comes to Mike's inability to produce when facing Marshon Lattimore. In 2 games this past season, Mike, despite having the greatest quarterback to ever play, had 3 receptions for 62 yards total. This is not an average, that's total yards through both games this year when he faced Marshon. For the fantasy football players out there, I know you can all remember the first time Mike Evans went off for you, probably gave you 50 points one week, and then boom, he just scored 0. And you're just like, how is he scoring 0? This is how. Marshon Lattimore. Like they say in boxing, matchups make fights, and that's just a heavyweight bout that Mike can't seem to overcome. At the start of last season, Marshon signed a 5-year, $97 million contract extension with the Saints, and as that defense continues to reload year after year, the soon-to-be 26-year-old Marshon is going to be looking to put together his 5th Pro Bowl campaign this season. Now, the 2018 Defensive Rookie of the Year was Darius Leonard. Today, Darius is one of the premier players at the linebacker position, but his path to the NFL was pretty unique. So for starters, dude has 8 brothers and sisters. Darius's 4 brothers all have their own stories. One brother actually made it to the NFL before Darius, but the other 3, they have more tragic stories. One was killed after an altercation at a nightclub, and 2 others are serving serious time in prison. Fortunately, Darius was able to make it out of that life and into this one, but there's also a little more to it. Back in 2016, he was just a small school kid at South Carolina State trying to make a name for himself in NFL circles. That September, he got his chance when his South Carolina State Bulldogs faced the eventual national champion Clemson Tigers, a game where they got absolutely drugged 59-0. Now, it's got to be tough for a player who's on a team that gets beat 59-0 to actually leave a good impression. It's like at that point, everybody on the team just looked bad. But when you rack up 19 tackles against the best team in the country with not a whole lot of support around you, NFL scouts that may have been there checking out Clemson can't help but ask y'all, who's that kid for South Carolina State? He's all over the damn field. Darius finished the season with 113 tackles, 8.5 sacks, and 2 interceptions. It was enough for him to receive an invite to the Senior Bowl where he impressed. He was then selected by the Indianapolis Colts in the 2nd round of the 2018 draft, and fresh out the damn MEAC College Conference, this man made an immediate All-Pro. That's all you really need to know about Darius Leonard. But I still got a little more to say. He didn't stop after that first All-Pro. As a matter of fact, he's made it every single year of his 4-year career. Not to mention he's led the league in tackles and enforced fumbles in 2 separate seasons. Darius Leonard is a player who truly started from the bottom, but today he's an elite player at the very top of his position. And after signing a $99 million contract with $52 million guaranteed just last season, he's now finally getting paid like one. So in 2019, the Bosa family makes yet another appearance on the list. This time we got younger brother Nick Bosa. Now think about this in terms of Joey real quick. When you're taken 3rd overall in the NFL draft, there's almost 0 chance of your younger brother outdoing you. Except in the case of Joey Bosa, who got outdone by little brother Nick when he was taken 2nd overall in the 2019 draft. Hell, he even signed his contract with no issues whatsoever. In year 1, dude recorded 9 sacks out the gate. Then after being injured in 2020, he came back in 2021 and recorded 15.5 sacks, breaking the Bosa's household record. In only 2 healthy seasons, he's made 2 Pro Bowls. Now, Nick has come under fire for liking controversial social media posts that use both racial and homophobic slurs as hashtags. So it's fair to question exactly what type of dude is this behind the scenes. But at the same time, that has absolutely no bearing when it comes to judging dude as a player. And on the field, he's a beast, one of the top pass rushers in the league. Pro Football Focus actually just posted a list of their top 25 players under 25 entering the 2022 season. And you don't gotta scroll too far to find Nick Bosa sitting right at the top of the list as their #1 player under 25 years old. And both of our remaining 2 players are top 15 on that same list as well. So at this point in the league, edge rusher might be the most valuable position on a defense. So when Ohio State pass rusher Chase Young came out in 2020, there was no surprise that dude was taken 2nd overall. But coming along before NIL deals were commonplace in college football, Chase faced adversity during his college days when he received a loan from a family friend. Not even a huge loan, as it was just enough to cover his girlfriend's flight to watch him play at Ohio State. The whole thing was kind of dumb, but the NCAA was doing everything in their power to hold on to their ridiculous amateurism rules for dear life. So they ended up suspending who many thought was the best player in college football for 2 games. The whole thing honestly kind of came and went pretty quickly, but it was a pretty big deal at the time. Following that season, Chase took his talents to the NFL, where he could use his $34.5 million contract to buy as many plane tickets as he wanted to. Then in 15 games, he recorded 42 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, a defensive touchdown, and 40 total pressures. This was enough to earn him Defensive Rookie of the Year and a trip to the Pro Bowl. As a Bengals fan, I remember playing this man during that 2020 season, and bro, he was all over the field. He wasn't the one who landed the hit that injured Joe Burrow, but when I tell you he made his presence felt in that game, not just creating pressure, but chasing down plays as well, hustling all over the field, and when he got to the play, oh, you knew he was there. Unfortunately, in year 2, Chase Young tore his ACL and missed the 2nd half of the season. But we know that today's guys generally come back from these injuries pretty quickly, and with just the type of warrior this dude is, I got no doubt that he attacked his rehab and he's expected to be back for week 1. So whoever pulls that card and think Washington is an easy out, I promise you, your left tackle, he knows damn well that for him, it's about to be a long day. Alright, before we jump into the last player on this list, if you've enjoyed the video so far, be sure to check out my video on the last 10 offensive rookies of the year as well. Alright, 2021, let's jump in. So there's been a ton of pass rushers on this list, and 2021's defensive rookie of the year, Micah Parsons, might just be the best of them all. Technically a linebacker, Micah had most of his success as a pass rusher. Dude lined up at his listed position about 40% of the time, but he lined up on the edge about 60. But make no mistake, he's extremely dangerous from either spot. As a rookie, this man graded out with a 93 pass rush grade from PFF. Again, bro, this is his average as a rookie. Just to show you how cold that is, the beast we just talked about, right? Chase Young? Chase's average as a rookie was 76.5, which is a really good grade for a rookie. Chase has only gotten a 93 pass rush grade twice. Meanwhile, Micah Parsons averaged 93 over a full season. That is insane. Micah was on a whole different level as a rookie, as he racked up 61 tackles, 39 hurries of his own, and 14 sacks, despite not even playing edge 100% of the time. At 6'3", 246 pounds, this man ran a 4.36, a 4.36 at 6'3", 250. I mean, easily the most ridiculous 40 time I've ever seen for a pass rusher. And the best part is, he actually plays with that speed. Not to mention, he combines it with power, explosiveness, and the type of football tenacity that few can match. Dude is all passion in the body of an elite athlete. And by the time it's all said and done, he could realistically end up rewriting all of the record books.